Welcome back to another video review. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the Tactop holsters and attachments. Alright, so we're going to be continuing on with the 360-degree series from Tactop. If you didn't watch the first video, I suggest you go back and watch that if you're curious about the holsters themselves, since I discussed, for example here, the index release, thumb release, and such. But today we're going to be focusing primarily on all the different styles of attachments and their features. Alright, so to quickly note, I reached out to Tactop because I was curious about the heat tolerances on their polymer and what type of polymer they're using, and they got back to me. They told me they're using PA66 with a little bit of their own mixture in there for durability. Looking up some spec sheets on PA66, we're looking at, when it comes to heat tolerance, around 220 to 350 degrees. So that seems to be the norm when it comes to these polymer holsters that are on the market. Alright, so in the first part of this video, I just want to briefly touch base again on the Gen 1 and Gen 2 locking mechanisms, because there is two different locking mechanisms for the 360-degree rotation system of their attachments. I did talk about it in the first video, but for you guys that didn't watch the first video, I'll just go over that again. Alright, so this is the Gen 1 version. So on the Gen 1 version, it has this lever that you pull down, and then there's like this tab, the push button that you push down, and then that lets you rotate 360 degrees around. Once you have it in the position that you want, you can lock it down and then it won't move. On this version, the Gen 1, it doesn't matter which way you go. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise for when you're adjusting it, and that's fine. Right. This here is the Gen 2 version of their 360-degree locking mechanism. So basically you use your thumb, pull it down, and now this rotates 360 degrees. Also note that in between each 90 degrees, there's a 30 degree and a 60 degree positioning. So you have two positions in between each 90 degrees for adjustment. Once you have in the position that you want, you can lock it down. I also want to note that with the Gen 2, you should only spin it clockwise. When you try and do it counterclockwise, you can hear it grinds, and that has to do with the type of mechanism that's inside. It's a little bit different than the Gen 1. So I suggest you always go clockwise when adjusting the Gen 2 version. Right, so now that I've gone over that, let's get into the attachments. Okay, so the first holster attachment I'm going to take a look at is the paddle. This is pretty standard. This one's designed to be able to use up to a 2-inch belt. You can put it on your belt and then have it inside the pants as well. I have a belt right here. And it's on there pretty tight. So if this was on the belt along with your pants, I think it would be nice and firm in there. I tested this on my own pants and belt, and I didn't have any issues when I was drawing. So yeah, so that's just your basic first attachment. Okay, so the next attachment that we have here is the MOLLE attachment. I've taken this off a holster, so I've taken some of the parts out of it and such, just so I can show how this is placed onto a panel. This uses 2 columns of PALS webbing, or MOLLE, and yeah, it works very well. I tested it. It doesn't shift. I didn't have to use zip ties to secure it on like some of the other brands I've had to use. So yeah, I'll just show that being placed on. It has these 2 legs right here, and then these are what clip onto the webbing itself. So those 2 legs go underneath, and then those are on top, right on top, and then the webbing clips go underneath. And once you have those down, and as you can see, those are on there. That's not coming or shifting loose. There's no way. It's actually very well designed. Very happy with it. All right. All right, so this next attachment that we're going to take a look at is the 2-in-1. This one can be used on belts, but also can be used on pals webbing or MOLLE. It has a built-in MOLLE adapter on it, which is pretty cool. I mentioned this in my last video when I did part 1, that usually when you see these, they're solid. They don't have this gap here, and they have like this latch that comes up and locks them into place and such. I've actually had one on a flashlight that's sort of similar to this, and you cannot put it onto pals webbing or MOLLE. So I thought that was pretty cool. Basically, this one has 2 little levers here that you push in, and then there's this adjuster plate. This adjuster plate is for the size of your belt. You can do 1.5 to 2-inch size belts on this. So for example, I've got a belt right here. Once you got your belt in there, you can have that adjusted and it'll hold it firmly so it doesn't shift like it is right now. But like I said, you can resize it. Resizing it is very easy. There's 2 Allen key points right here. You just undo them, and then this moves up and down, which is pretty cool. Now, as mentioned, it's 2-in-1, so it will work with pals webbing or MOLLE. And basically what you do is you undo these. So I'll just do that quickly. So now that I got that little divider or adjuster for the belt removed from here, you can attach this onto your pals webbing or MOLLE. So onto your battle belt, onto your vest. So for example, again, I've got this panel right here. Put this through. It takes up 2 columns and then only 3 rows of this. Once you have it on, just pull it up, and this will lock into place. And now that's on there, no shifting. So I thought that was pretty cool design that they were able to do 2-in-1, and that you could also use this on your MOLLE pals webbing as well. All right. Okay, so the final attachment we're going to be looking at, the Tactop sent me, is the drop offset. Pretty basic. Fits on 2-inch belts. You can use smaller belts, but it's meant for 2-inch belts. It's a drop offset for your holster, so it drops your holster down a little bit. This is primarily used for people that want to be able to clear their vests and such. It's personally what I use on my battle belt, and one of my favorites. Yeah, they do make, if you want drop leg panels, they do have them. They have them in the single strap and the double strap. I didn't get those because I don't use them. I use the drop offset, and that's what I requested, and so they sent it to me, so I really appreciated that. Also to note, all the attachments can be used on whatever holster. It doesn't matter regardless, because the actual part built onto the holster is the same across all their holsters. It just, when it comes to their attachments, they have 2 generation versions that they use, but they're able to be swapped between whatever you want to use. If you want to put this attachment on this holster, you can. Whatever you want, which is really good. They got you covered on everything that you might want to use. Again, we have the paddle, we've got the MOLLE adapter, we've got the 2-in-1, which has the belt and the MOLLE adapter built into it, and then your drop offset. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Have a great day, have a great week, and take care.